Ever notice that when you go on your own self-improvement journey, you start losing friends? When you add in some good habits like meditating and going to the gym, and you cut out some bad habits like partying and wasting time and drinking and smoking, you start to no longer relate to your existing friend group, but rather than feeling their support and encouragement, it's usually the opposite. It's usually your own friends, your own family that tells you things like, you're too obsessed. What are you trying to prove? You think you're better than us? What about balance? Live it up a little. Don't you have any fun? And it's that exact behavior that unfortunately keeps most people who have a desire to improve stuck where they are. Because as humans, we're hardwired to seek acceptance and validation from our tribe, from our peer group, from the people that we live around or do common activities with, like work and school. We crave love and acceptance and validation. Unfortunately, most of us fail to realize it's a big world out there. And just because we were born in one environment or started in one environment doesn't mean we can't leapfrog out of that and find a more aligned environment to who we really are. So when you start improving your life and making changes and you no longer can relate to the behavior patterns and actions that your old friend group took, unfortunately, most of us don't keep going long enough to get to the new friend circle. You don't have enough evidence yet that you are this new person, so you're not really recognized yet by the higher performers who've already lived this way for a couple years and have more evidence that they have an awesome physique, they have a great business and financial situation, they're in healthy relationships, they believe in themselves and have confidence. People that have been meditating, working out, taking accountability for their lives and not wasting time and energy on bad habits. People that have been doing that for a while don't want to have energy vibrating beneath them around them because they're very aware of the way you can be leveled up by your associations or leveled down by your associations because they've already been through that. They've probably already elevated from their high school friend group and from their hometown friend group. And so if you're not on their level yet, or at least showing signs of getting there, chances are the door won't be open for you. So it's a really precarious place to be stuck in the middle, and it's very lonely. And it's unfortunately the reason most people turn around when they were walking the right way, doing the right things. They just feel so ostracized and alienated that they decide, rather than get through this season of loneliness where I'm not sure what's on the other end, I'd rather go back to feeling comfort and safety in a place where I know what to expect. It may not be my highest values. It may be a familiar chaos and a familiar sadness and depression, but at least it's familiar. At least it's predictable. At least this is a circle I fit into or whatever. And this has been my experience. I think I've spent about 5 years and maybe more, honestly, going back and forth. Incredible periods of progress where I get very, very fiery and passionate and committed to a set of goals and committed to a lifestyle and action plan. And partly because of living publicly and posting it on social media and opening myself up to a lot more judgment than the average person would have if they didn't make videos about their life and their ups and downs. It's partly due to that, the fact that I get sucked back into my old comfortable circles. And it's partly, being a more sensitive person than the average and feeling feelings more and having such a deep desire hardwired in me to connect with other humans, to give and receive love. It's really hard for me to go through those lonely phases where I feel like, the people I cared about, the people that I used to spend time with and hang out with, that I wanted to bring me with on this journey of self-improvement, they don't want to come with me. And not only that, but they're also not rooting for me. They're like, you think you're better than us now? Like, oh, what's up? You changed. And it's like, yeah, motherfucker, I did change. That's the fucking point. I don't want to be average for the rest of my life. And a lot of people talk about this in a way that's like overly politically correct and polite. And I've been this way through most of my life because I was raised to be kind and polite and considerate of other people's feelings, which are great qualities. I'm grateful my parents raised me that way, but it's made it hard for me to really stick my foot down where I believe and stand on something and say, look, I don't want to be average, and that's good. There's no narcissism in that. There's no elitism in that. What is average in the Western world? Fat, depressed, broke, wasting time, draining energy and resources from everyone around them. That's average and normal. Diseased and ill and depressed mentally and physically. I don't want any part of that. What are the normal behaviors? Drinking, partying, casual sex, dating apps, wasting time on social media, brain rot, Netflix, staying up late, sleeping in late, continuously letting yourself down, making New Year's resolutions that you quit on 3 weeks into the year, lying to yourself, lying to those around you, being complacent and just following the blueprint that your boss has laid out for you, not thinking for yourself. Those are normalized behaviors. And when someone stands over here and says like, look, that's all bullshit. We are all capable of more than that as humans. And I'm going to stand over here and do my own thing. And I may not even be criticizing or judging others or saying, you should do this, you should do that. Just simply being in this lane and existing as something different than the norm pisses a lot of people off. They try to tear you down and say that you are obsessive and abnormal and out of balance, and it's toxic. It's toxic hustle culture, it's toxic grind culture, toxic masculinity, all these different labels, which quite honestly are just made up by losers to label winners, because the losers are too lazy and unwilling to do what it takes to become a winner. There's so much abundance in the world. There's no need to criticize someone else or to feel threatened by their success. Utilize that as motivation and inspiration. The fact that someone else is winning is a sign that you can too, because we're all the same 24 hours in a day. We're all born as the same human race, similar DNA, different circumstances, of course, but by the time most of us are grown adults, there usually aren't that many limiting factors other than our own internal belief system on what we can and can't achieve in life. So I just really, for 5 years, I've been soft on this, and I think it's why I've been susceptible to getting sucked back into mediocrity and average behavior. And how I really feel is like, you're a fucking loser if I or anyone else start improving in life, taking self-improvement seriously, working hard on myself, committing to changes. If I or anyone else is on that path and you look at them and do anything other than clap and take accountability for your own shortcomings, and if you are ready to make a change, you follow them, and if you're not ready to make a change, you just sit quietly and applaud them. If you're doing anything other than that, I just think it's loser behavior. And it's popular, it's the normal behavior, so you'll get more approval for doing it. What's one of the main ways that people bond? It's fucking sick and twisted, but mutual hatred, talking shit. That's like one of the, it's not like, oh, I like this about you, or I like that about you. It's like, oh, don't you, I hate that guy too, or that person's super cringe too, sharing, negative things in the group chat about someone. Like, that's what people bond on. Not everyone, of course, but a lot of people. And it's such bullshit, man. If that's the way you think and that's the way the people around you think, you're never going to amount to anything. You got to break out of that and realize that tearing others' towers down is not a good strategy to have a high tower yourself. You're not going anywhere. And yeah, you can spend your whole life comparing yourself to the average person, or comparing yourself to people beneath you and having an inflated false sense of accomplishment and ego. But that's not the way we want to be. And if you're honest with yourself right now, and you think about your shortcomings in life, and you think about people you look up to and aspire to be like, there is a gap. There's a big gap. Especially if you're watching a video like this and the things I'm saying so far are resonating with you. You know the habits that you would need to include in your life, and more importantly, you know the habits that you would have to cut out of your life, and you're not willing to do that. And again, I can't force you to. All I can do is set my own example and walk my own path. But at this point, I'm definitely beyond making excuses for being average, and I'm beyond making excuses for why average people try to tear down extraordinary people. By definition, extraordinary means out of the ordinary, extraordinary. So if you're trying to achieve something that's not normal in life, such as a certain amount of financial success, a certain amount of impact, how many people you work with and help improve their lives, a certain amount of physical, health markers, how strong you are, how much muscle mass you have. If you're trying to achieve extraordinary things in these different categories, it won't make sense to ordinary people. It has to be opposite behavior. If the behavior of the masses gets ordinary results, then your behavior to get extraordinary results can't match the behavior of the masses. And as much as I wish this wasn't true, and I wish that the culture was just to aspire to things rather than be complacent and think that those who are aspiring need to be brought back down to complacency. It's so backwards, but it's the way it works. But my hope in a video like this is that it can create some small ripple effect, not only of change in you and your own life, but in those around you. Because truthfully, there's nothing sadder than someone who has a desire to change and makes effort to change, but is still accessible by old friends and is still a part of an old community that tears them down for this effort and ostracizes them and makes them feel as if they're, offending people, they are doing too much, they're on a high horse and they're making others uncomfortable. Good. You should be uncomfortable. You are a fat piece of shit. You are a loser. You are wasting time. You are a degenerate. Looking at someone from your friend circle who used to do those activities with you, that's now transcended that and is on a health kick or is on a self-improvement kick or is taking business seriously or is in a healthy relationship, that pisses me off too. When people see their friends get in healthy relationships and then they try to yank them back down out of it because they're miserable. They don't know what healthy love looks like. They've never worked hard enough on themselves to attract a healthy partner. And rather than accepting, like, my friend is not available anymore, they're busy and they're in a healthy relationship, which is honestly better for them than wasting time doing loser activities with me. Instead of saying that, the loser friend says, oh, this partner's not good for you. They're trying to control you. They're too much of an extremist. Like, when in reality, that's just called improvement. They're improving their lives. They're changing. But I hate when people try to guilt trip their friends who are in healthy relationships. It's one thing if it's an awful relationship, it's toxic and the person is actually being brought down, but that's very rarely the case. Usually you got a best friend circle, a group of girls or a group of guys that are used to doing the same degenerate activities together, and then one of them gets in a healthy relationship, starts progressing in life, and the other people in that circle, it's like they lost their toy. Like their toy got taken away from them. The person that used to validate all their negative, shitty behavior and time-wasting behavior and degeneracy, that person is now in a healthy relationship, progressing in life, and rather than just being like, you know what, that's awesome, good for them, I hope I find that someday too. Maybe I can look what they're doing. Maybe they can help me. Maybe I can say look, I'm not happy in life right now and it looks like you guys are making progress. Can you tell me, what's working for you, or can we spend some time together doing positive things? I'd like to try to learn. Rather than do that, they try to bring the person back down to their level. They try to sabotage the relationship and make their friend feel bad and like they're being someone that they're not and they belong down at this level, which is so selfish and so toxic. It's so ironic that they're calling the healthy relationship toxic when in reality it's themselves. The relationship is just mirroring to them how toxic their own attitude is and their own belief system about whether or not they can find healthy love, whether or not they deserve it. It's because they are not doing the work on themselves, but rather than do it, they'd rather tear down the people progressing in front of them. So that's just one that hits close to home personally for me. Sorry for the extra little side tangent there, but again, if you're on this path trying to improve your life and you feel lonely, maybe even getting made fun of by people that you used to think were your friends, they're not your friends. First and foremost, no friend would ever make fun of another friend for improving, even if it created a gap and all of a sudden you didn't feel as successful or good about yourself. You would welcome that challenge because you realize that growth is the main thing in life. You're either growing or dying. There is no stagnation. So if somebody in your immediate social circle is improving, that's your sign that you can improve too, and you should pay attention to what they're doing that's working, encourage them, and try to follow in their footsteps. And if you're in this lonely phase and you've yet to attract new friends that don't have this loser mentality of tearing other people's towers down, and instead they just take radical and total responsibility for their own life, they stay in their own lane, they don't worry about what other people are doing or saying about them, and they just continue succeeding and achieving and applying effort. If you haven't attracted those people yet, just keep going, because you will. It's always this phase of solitude and isolation and loneliness, and then it teaches you to like yourself. And then when you like yourself and you're happy on your own and you believe in your path and what you're doing and you don't need other people's validation and approval, all of a sudden you become very attractive and very magnetic to the people that you want to be around, that are also vibrating at the same frequency and also don't need validation from others, don't need support and approval. They know what's right for them and they just do it unapologetically. That's a powerful friend group right there, when everyone operates under that same operating system. So my hope for you is that this is in your near future. Don't be discouraged if it's not. I think most of the top entrepreneurs, top successful people understand that it's a long play. Nothing worth having comes easily. If it was easy to get into these upper echelon, groups of people, then everyone would be there. But obviously, to be extraordinary means to be out of the ordinary. So most people won't be there. So the majority of people you encounter are not going to be on the same path as you, and that's fine. Learn to enjoy your own company. As you build progress with these habits and stack days together, doing your cold showers, meditating, doing your breath work, going to the gym, eating clean, avoiding time wasting, negative, bad habits, over time, that becomes fun. Going backwards in life and being validated by people whose opinions you don't respect anyway, that's not fun. Continuing to strive, continuing to achieve, continuing to stay focused and feeling better physically, mentally, spiritually, day after day after day, liking yourself more because you're keeping the promises you've made to yourself and you're finally chasing your own potential, that's fun. And then the fun gets multiplied exponentially when you attract other people who view life and work and fun the same way, and you have shared experiences together. That's where life is meant to be lived, and that's my hope for you. Do the hard work to get there. I'm proud of you. It's not going to be easy, but it's worth it in the end. Goodbye.